Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Tally-Ho with me, Papa Amiga. So we're at chapter 3, but before we start I wanted to check our stats and see if there are any new ones, and yes there are. So we are now bold at 44%, culture 33, intellect 44, observe 42, persuade 48 and skullduggery 48, and we are almost perfectly at the middle between soothing and abrasive. Our reputation, renown 45, tranquility 48. I think we have new suspicion and invitation. I don't remember seeing these. Suspicion is 19% and invitation 52%. And then we have a bunch of new people here. Rory at 49%, Aunt Primrose is at 40%. And then we have Valentine, I don't know who that is, 25%. Frankincense, 47%. Would Valentine be the lady we met who called us Dandelion? Then we have Colonel Firesnuff here and Regina at 40%. Okay, interesting. So we have more people here. Anyway, let's get into it. Chapter 3, Ritornello. You exit the train relieved that you are on time. You collect your luggage from the baggage car and head towards the cab stand. The platform is rather crowded, and you push your way past large families on holiday and tourists who, for some reason, wish to consult their guidebooks about some architectural feature of the station. You are just beginning to ponder pleasant thoughts of the visit to come when you hear someone calling your name, and you look around trying to figure out where the sound is coming from. Emerging from behind the smoke screen of exhaust from a departing train, you see a figure walking towards you, coughing and gesturing to get your attention. Who is this unassuming and impressionable person carrying a bright green pear and a bulging picnic basket, nearly jumping up and down with excitement as they approach you? A delicately proportioned maid in uniform, or a slightly built manservant in livery? Let's go with a delicately proportioned maid in uniform. Somehow the picnic basket and the bright green pear makes me think of a woman. So a delicately proportioned maid in uniform. You are hailed by this young woman eagerly. Are you Calvin? She calls in strong Gloucestershire. Oh wow. I forgot what you guys once told me that this is pronounced differently. Gloucestershire. Well, you're gonna correct me again. Accent. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm here to greet you. She takes a bite of the pear. You slow down to see who this new addition to the cast is. You are relatively familiar with most of the old hands at Aunt Primrose, and are certain that you have never seen her before. I'm Valentine, she says, bowing her head. Oh, okay, so that answers one of my questions. Deferentially as you approach, you cast a trained eye over her uniform, a plain black dress with a white apron and a white cap, noting with professional detachment that it is slightly threadbare. It's an honor to meet you. You're right on time. Were you sent from Mrs. Patterson's house? Nope. I was sent by the Cadbury Club. This is my very first job. I was just hired on at Mrs. Primrose Patterson's estate. Indeed. Yes. I am her new downstairs maid. But I'm going to work really hard, and someday I'm going to be a real lady's maid. I know I can do it. Valentine looks up at you with eyes of innocence as you attempt to formulate a response, and then, before you do, she hits you with the crucial bit of information. You have been assigned as my mentor. I think it's part of your test for admission to the inner circle. Wow, okay, it's so secret that even a newly joined person knows about it. Interesting. The Cadbury Club seems to have eyes everywhere, and you have heard rumors that at times they have tested prospective members in unusual ways. This, however, is most unorthodox. But after your recent adventure with Regina, you are not prepared to discount any rumors about the inner circle at all. So we have three options here. Wonderful. Glad to meet you, Valentine. Or, I look Valentine up and down critically. I am to be your mentor? Or, but why me? Why now? Well, let's go with wonderful. Glad to meet you, Valentine. Valentine looks unbelievably pleased. I have heard stories about you, she says, studying her shoes, a flush queerly coming over her face. Oh, do tell, you say. People say that you are so knowledgeable and generally quite kind. I'm going to work really hard to be as good as you. It's all I ever wanted in life. So basically, Valentine will try to emulate us, and we are going to try to please Regina. Cool. Everyone's trying to get someone on their good side. You pace around for a moment, then turn back to Valentine. But why on earth would they send a woman just learning how to be a downstairs maid and aspiring to become a lady's maid to me? Why wouldn't they send you to a proper lady's maid? I don't know the answer to that, and it's a question that perplexes me as well. There's a great deal of specific knowledge involved in tending to the needs of a lady, as you know, issues of fashionable dress and hair and cosmetics and so forth. At present I serve a gentleman. I can hardly advise you on these matters, you reply. I am at a loss. Oh, right. Maybe this would help. She hands you an envelope, sealed with wax and bearing the crest of your club, the Cadbury Club for those who serve. It's my letter of introduction. You open the letter, and on official Cadbury Club stationery, you read a missive confirming that Valentine has indeed been sent by the inner circle to test you. Valentine is described as a promising young woman who needs guidance and a role model. The letter stresses that you will be evaluated following Valentine's apprenticeship to you, which will last for 1 month. The letter further notes that Valentine is to be instructed in whatever you deem most important for a servant to be trained in. Well, everything here seems to be in order. What do you want me to do first? Valentine says, throwing the pear core away. I'm ready. Go and wash your hands while I hire a cab. Your hands are sure to be sticky. Or gather up the suitcases and follow me. Or I'll take the suitcases, follow me. Do we send her to wash her hands while I hire a cab? Well, I mean, she ate a pear. Well, okay, we got increased stats already. So go and wash your hands while I hire a cab. Your hands are to be sticky. Oh, of course, I'm sorry. That was careless of me. Valentine rushes into the station and emerges shortly after, looking a little abashed, but no less eager. Did this hurt our stats with her? It did. Ah, snap. You, meanwhile, have already hired a cab and loaded the bags into it. Don't forget your picnic basket, you say, pointing. Oh, yes, I nearly forgot. Valentine heaves it into the back seat of the cab, saying, Oopsie-daisy. Don't say oopsie-daisy, you reply. Oops, sorry. Well, this is going to be fun. You and Valentine slide into the back of the cab with a picnic basket between you. I packed us a lunch, Valentine says. I wanted to bring you something to thank you in advance for taking me under your wing. I know it's awkward. I don't know what kind of food you like, so I packed a bit of everything. You watch as Valentine opens the basket and points out the various lunch items in it. I packed lots of finger sandwiches and pickled vegetables and charred peppers stuffed with buttered breadcrumbs and some hard cheese and a bottle of cider. Do you like marinated eggplant? I also have some of that, and some baguette and a jam, and for dessert, you're going to really like this, some lovely cream puffs. I suppose we can just feast here in the cab. It looks extraordinarily delicious, but it also looks rather messy, and potentially the sort of food that might leave a lingering aroma. She tries to judge from her expression whether or not you are pleased. I think it would be tidier to eat that later, don't you? Or, it looks so lovely, Valentine. I'm afraid I ate on the train. Or, I can't wait to eat this charming picnic. I'll start with some of those pickles. I think we're gonna go with it looks so lovely, Valentine. I'm afraid I ate on the train. Oh no, says Valentine, frowning. I should have written to tell you not to. I do appreciate the thought, though. Oh no, Valentine repeats. That was rather stupid of me. Perhaps you can bring it down to the kitchen and you can share it with the men and women who will soon be your co-workers. A nice gift might help you make friends right away. I made this for you, says Valentine, playing with the handle of the basket. But you give me good advice. I will do as you say. But Valentine looks unhappy. Oh. Yeah, we're killing our stats again, but I mean, this is the way to go. I mean, she had sticky hands, and, we would smell of pickles. As you ride along, you talk with Valentine, learning a bit about her. She speaks at length about her 6 brothers and the Cotswolds, where she grew up. Oh, I guess that's a city, and the Cotswolds where she grew up. It was expected that Valentine would work at her parents' sweet shop. However, after her parents' illness, Valentine had to provide for her family and found her way to the city, taking on a few temporary, short-term positions to learn the trade and joining the Junior Cadbury Club, where she was nominated as the most promising. As you talk, Valentine turns her face up to you, looking into your eyes artlessly. I wanted to apologize if I'm mucking things up, Calvin. I'm a little flustered and I'm not sure what I'm doing. There's no need to apologize, you say. Well, good, Valentine says. Good. I'm very excited to start, That is obvious, you say. 20 minutes later, you approach the grounds of Ritornello, and the world becomes filled with color, as you take in the astonishing palette that autumn has painted the world with. Dark plum, fiery orange, and scarlet everywhere, dotted here and there with russets, pumpkin pie orange brown, and deeper gingerbread brown. Even from inside the cab, you fancy that you can hear the rustling of the leaves and dancing slightly in the wind. Valentine sits next to you, studying your posture and trying to mimic the way you are sitting. She straightens up and folds her hand in her lap. I was just wondering, Valentine says, what would you say is the most important part of being a good valet? For you, I mean, what's the most important thing for me to work on? An excellent question. I would say that the most important thing is listening to one's employer's orders and not deviating, or solving problems on your own without bothering your employer, or learning how to educate and shape your employer. I guess the second one, solving problems on your own without bothering your employer, because that's, you're there for him, and you should take on as much as you can take. That makes a lot of sense, says Valentine. I'm still working on that. I just feel like it's important to check in with my employer when something unexpected comes up. Novices often do feel that way, but the skill is what distinguishes a great servant from a merely tolerable one. One's employer hires one in order to make life smoother, to have someone to remove obstacles in their path before the obstacle can prove a stumbling block. I think I understand, she says. And therefore, you say, speaking with some gusto, you must never rest. You must watch out for all opportunities to make life just a little bit easier. That is what you will do when, someday, you ascend to the lofty heights of becoming a lady's maid. But even in your relatively lowly current position, you will, no doubt, have many opportunities to remove problems on your own initiative. I see, Valentine thinks for a while. But surely there must be times when your employer, despite all of your work, contrives to make his or her life difficult. Oh my, yes, you say. Try as you may to solve their problems, they will often manage to create more. Tell me, what do you do then? What do you respond? Listen carefully, then, and I shall tell you an illustrative tale about Mr. Wintermint. Or, one does not share stories about one's employers. Or, I cannot tell you anything specific, but I will give you the broad outlines. I say, knowing that it may be somewhat more difficult to either amuse or instruct Valentine in that way. Well, this is kind of hard. I think one does not share stories about one's employers. I guess I'm trying to be as professional here as possible, but this is really hurting my... No, let's go with the broad outlines. Oh, alright. I'm eager to hear any information at all that you think will help. Okay, that didn't hit us. So I think that one option would help and one option would lower. This was a neutral one. You recall an incident in which Rory and his cousin Mopsy became convinced that they need to break into Aunt Primrose's desk drawer in order to win a foolish wager, and Rory ended up nearly falling out of a third-story window. Using assumed names and claiming this happened to a former employer, you tell the story, although it is, of course, difficult to both tell a lively story and remember to hide telltale details to protect those you are talking about. Valentine listens, quite interested. What is the goal in telling the story? Mostly to make Valentine laugh and relax, or to scare Valentine a bit with a cautionary tale about the challenges of successfully doing one's duty, or to offer some memorable tips to aid Valentine in her remembering proper behavior. I guess the last option is the best one, so we're gonna offer some memorable tips. A good story can help one to remember proper behavior, and you are determined to craft your narrative such that Valentine remembers how best to respond in a crisis. Yeah, that didn't help. Valentine is obviously enjoying the story, and you find it difficult to resist exaggeration and great deal at times. Rory and Mopsy both come off as rather ridiculous, but Valentine's laughter is contagious. You are very much enjoying telling the story when you realize that you've been forgetting to use the false names for a while, and Valentine has fallen silent and even looks a little embarrassed for you. Oh, you say, perhaps we had the best end the story there. I wasn't going to say anything, Valentine said. I won't say a word. Thank you, you say. I fear I got a touch transported by the story. It would be best if we never discussed this matter again. Old Primrose Estate is surrounded by massive oak trees dressed in vivid lemon yellows, with just a few red-brown oak leaves dotting the ground to mildly suggest that this beauty might come to an end someday, but not soon. The cab stops at the green gates, announcing that this is Ritornello, where two servants bar the way. They examine the cab carefully, presumably ensuring that Figgs is not hiding in the back seat, and then wave you through. Oh, whatever happened to Figgs? That's a good question. The cab curves around the great circular driveway with a white marble statue in the center of it, in the shape of goddess Minerva, emerging from Jupiter's forehead. You pay the fellow over Valentine's objections and are about to collect the luggage when you hear someone running from behind you, and then the world goes dark. Guess who? Calls a high-pitched and giggling voice. Guess, Calvin. Mrs. Patterson, is that you? Mr. Wintermint, I believe. Colonel Farsnuff, is that you? Mopsy? Helen of Troy? I think that's Mopsy. You guessed it, she shouts, releasing you. You turn to see her clapping and nearly jumping for joy. Mopsy is looking lovely as ever, in a twirly pink and purple floral chiffon dress with a large floppy bow at the neck and 6 big cloth-covered buttons down the front. Oh, that's a lovely dress. Her hair is somewhat wild, an explosion of curls and tendrils. She is flushed, probably from charging at you from behind. As always, Mopsy is a ray of sunshine. She beams to see you. You see Valentine directing some of Aunt Primrose's help to take the luggage up to Mr. Wintermint's room. For a moment, you consider whether Valentine needs help, but soon realize that Mopsy will not brook any distractions. Oh, Calvin, 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 she says. I can't believe you're here. I just can't believe it. You're here at last. I am. And we'll spend ever so much time together, she exclaims. Valentine clears her throat. I think I will go ahead in with the luggage and make my presence known to the household staff. I will see you soon, Calvin, and thank you for the company. You bid Valentine farewell as Mopsy waves her hand in increasingly large circles to get your attention. Did you happen to see dear Figaro? Oh, his name is Figaro. Did you happen to see dear Figaro on the journey? She looks up and down with large liquid eyes, and her lower lips start to quiver. I did see the gentleman in question. I believe he goes by Figgs among his friends, Mopsy says, and a tear starts to swell and roll. Indeed. Did he mention me? In fact, he asked me to kiss your dewy brow on his behalf, I say, kissing her dewy brow. He spoke of you with obvious affection and longing, or, as a matter of fact, I don't believe he did. Mopsy 100%. Well, he spoke of you with obvious affection and longing. I don't think it's our place to kiss her. Yeah, that sounds like a good choice. Of course he did, Mopsy says comfortably. I would imagine he speaks of nothing else. I feel terrible for him, and I feel terrible for myself. I'm like a bird in... What is that thing that birds are in? Gilded cages? Yes, like a bird in a gilded cage. But I know you will free me, Calvin. You will help us be together, for who can stand in the way of true love? How exactly do you want me to help, you ask? Rory did seem to desire that Figs and Mopsy be united, but the situation appears rather difficult. I believe that your aunt is firmly opposed. I don't know, she says, and then begins to seriously weep, and without warning dives into your chest, moistening you considerably. How do you respond? I simply hold her and pat her back paternally, or I help her put this all in a historical perspective, or I suggest how she can protest to Aunt Primrose effectively. Let's just simply hold her and pat her back. You say nothing at all. You just hug her and rock back and forth slightly there on the lawn while she cries. It takes a long time and several handkerchiefs worth of sobbing and shrieking before she calms down enough to go on. No words were exchanged, but she knows you understand. You are here for her now, at the moment of crisis, and you will be there for her come what may. She looks up at you and finally speaks. I couldn't do this without you, Calvin. I think I was waiting for you to get here to have that cry. Now it's all out. Now I'm myself again. A look of frightening determination crosses her face, but she immediately resettles it into the innocent visage you know so well. I am happy that I could be here for you, you say. Can we talk later? She asks. Always, Mopsy. She wipes her eyes and nose and then, gathering her equilibrium, walks into the house. So, do we still have 100? We still do have 100. As Mopsy's problems have been dealt with, for the moment anyway, you decide it would be best to find Rory and let him know that you have arrived. You walk into the house, glad to finally be here. Carlington, Aunt Primrose's imposing butler, greets you with a slight inclination of the head. How do you do, Calvin? Good to see you, Carlington. You will find Mr. Wintermint staying in the oak room on the second floor, third door on your left. Thank you, Carlington. Your suitcases are just there, by the art gallery. You may wish to take them upstairs. Certainly. You leave Carlington and walk across the main hall to the art gallery at the end of the corridor. Aunt Primrose's art gallery is a sunny display area for the various paintings, etchings, and sculptures she has collected over the years. Your suitcases are piled unceremoniously at the center of the room. You shake your head, reminding yourself to teach Valentine the importance of bringing the luggage straight up to the room. You start with the suitcases when you notice the sealed tube with Fig's awful portrait of Aunt Primrose in it. You consider it for a moment. You told Figs that you would take it, but noted that you ought to ask Rory for instructions before putting it up on the wall. However, you feel confident that, if asked, Rory would probably tell you to do anything that you feel would help Figs and Mopsy to get together. I'm going to go up to Rory and ask him what he wants me to do with the painting. Or I know Rory will tell me to hang the painting, so I'll just do it. Or Rory would surely tell me to dispose of the painting at once, so I'll destroy it. Well, we said we would ask Rory. And I really don't want to screw him over, so let's just go and ask him. As you mentioned to Figs, you will be leaving the decision to Rory. You tote all of the luggages upstairs, the painting tube under one arm, and locate the oak room, certainly one of the more luxurious of the guest suites in Ritornello. Rory likes its east-facing patio, and that is where you find him, looking out at the world, picking at a plate of sliced apples and berries, and sipping a ginger ale. I have arrived, sir, and perfectly punctual, as usual. All went well with the train? You clear your throat. I shall inform you of the specifics of my travels, if you wish, but before that, there is a piece of business I must inform you of. Oh? You produced a painting tube. I have here in this tube a painting made by our friend Figs, whom I met on the journey. You don't say. Rory opens the tube and starts to remove the contents. He implored me to take it and asked that I hang it in your aunt's art gallery. He seemed to think that seeing his artwork in that context would make her see his true value as an artist and possible match for Mopsy. It seemed a far-fetched plan. And you said? I told him that I needed to consult you before accepting or rejecting his offer. It seemed the right thing to do. I suppose so, Rory says, sighing. I suppose old Fix does need our help, but I'm not certain his plan is the finest heir of his invention, as it were. That was similar to my train of thought, you say. Well, that's a thin slice of figs, Rory chuckles, taking a sip of ginger ale. Now, before you unroll that portrait... But it's too late. Upon seeing the ghastly portrait, Rory spits out the mouthful of ginger ale all over it. My God, Calvin, Rory says, dropping the liquid fleckled painting. I know, sir. What is it? It is intended to be a representation of your aunt, sir. No! What would you like me to do with it? Down the hall, in the library, there is a good fire raging. Burn it utterly, and then collect the ashes and burn them as well. Then disinfect your hands with bleach and lye, and return at once. You take the portrait, crumple it into a ball, and head down the hall towards the library, a hall decorated with a number of orange, expensive-looking blue and white Ming Dynasty urns, nearly as tall as you are. You are nearly there when Colonel Firesnuff exits the library and calls to you. Oh, it's you, he says sourly. Yes, if I might step into the library, but he doesn't move. What have you got there? That moist piece of paper. You put your hand behind your back. What piece of paper? The piece of paper that was in your hand. No, I don't believe I have or had a piece of paper. I think I would know. It is perplexing to me why you would lie about having a piece of paper in your hand. It seems almost suspicious. You are a very suspicious person. Something about your physiognomy. But that is neither here nor there. I demand to see what is in your other hand. I look him in the eye. Why would I lie about having a piece of paper? Don't be an ass. It's wrapping paper for Rory's birthday gift for Mrs. Patterson, that's all. I stealthily drop the painting into one of the big decorative urns. I don't think the first option is going to help us with him. He already hates us. That was a blunder with that hairpin. Really, a big one. I think we're going to go with option number 2. It's a wrapping paper for Rory's birthday gift for Mrs. Patterson, that's all. Oh, just a wrapping paper, is it? Yes, that's all. I don't believe you. Nevertheless, I assure you it's a wrapping paper. Suppose I call you a liar? I beg your pardon, sir, you reply. I would dearly enjoy this sort of back and forth with you all day, but I must really be about my duties. I suspect you of theft of Oh, wow! I suspect you of theft or worse. It is written all over your face. I would wrestle whatever ill-gotten gods you have in your hands away from you, but I am a guest in this house. Therefore, I shall go and inform Primrose that you are a criminal. She will, no doubt, turn you out at once. He storms away. You run into the library, throw the painting onto the fire, and then race after him. Yeah, we're not winning any favors there. Colonel Firesnuff bursts in upon Aunt Primrose in her drawing room, where she is having a cup of tea with Mopsy. You follow closely behind. Primrose, shouts Colonel Firesnuff. I've just found this ruffian in your house following the dictates of his black heart. Aunt Primrose looks up, sets her tea on the table, and stands up frowning at Colonel Firesnuff. What are you talking about, Firesnuff? She says. This is Calvin, my nephew's valet. I've known him for years. Mopsy says nothing, but looks on you with some interest. Regardless, I saw what I saw, says Colonel Firesnuff. And what did you see, or think you saw? Calvin was stealing some sort of documents. I apprehended him near your library with something suspicious in hand and a guilty look. When questioned, he had nothing but a tissue of lies to offer. Primrose snorts and looks to you. Well, Calvin, this is a very serious accusation. What do you have to say in response to this charge? I cast a pleading look to Mopsy to help me out of this. I appeal to my long-standing relation with Aunt Primrose. I cross my arms and deny everything. I cross my arms and deny everything. This is all a tempest in a teapot, Mrs. Patterson, you say. A web of lies and circumstantial evidence held together with speculations and ad hominem attacks. Calvin dares to deny it, Colonel Farsnuff shouts. How dishonorable. What proof do you have, you say. My own eyes, he roars. Mopsy weeps off the sofa and throws her arms around you. Calvin would never be a criminal, you silly man, she says, starting to glare at the Colonel. You are wrong, 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 and you mustn't say such things about Calvin. You didn't see what I saw, Colonel Farsnuff responds. You give Mopsy a smile, and she gracefully takes her seat again. That's as may be, Aunt Primrose says, but I consider the discussion closed for now. I intend to have a jolly fox hunt, and this is all nonsense. Apologize to each other at once for what was obviously a misunderstanding, and let's get on with the day. But Colonel Farsnuff does not want to let bygones be bygones, and he storms off. Never mind him, says Aunt Primrose. I'm sure you must address Rory, and then let's get going. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson, you say, and hurry off to tend to Rory. You go back upstairs to the oak room. Has the matter been taken care of successfully? Rory says as you step in and close the door. It has, you say. It need not enter our thoughts again. Thank God for that, Rory says. Now, let us talk while you prepare my person for public consumption. My fox hunting outfit, if you please. How was your trip? The trip went reasonably well, you reply. Rory places 2 cushions on the divan and lies down with his feet on the cushions, hands folded under his head. Tell me about your journey. Omit no detail, however slight. There are, of course, many ways. While to the untrained eye, Rory seems content. Your long years with him and your trained eye lead you to the conclusion that Rory is in fact ill at ease. Restless and anxious are the words that come to mind. There are, of course, many ways to tell the tale of your recent train trip. You could try to make it a tale of dashing adventure, emphasizing your personal prowess and keen wit. You could offer amusing anecdotes, entertaining Rory with all your absurd encounters, making the narrative as witty as possible, trying to make Rory laugh. Another option could be offer an instructive lecture, or perhaps you might offer a relatively tame version of your trip in order to relax him. Okay, so what are our stats? We're bold, high intellect, observant. Let's tell him a witty repartee. You offer Rory a sparkling and witty version of your journey, relaying the most interesting and stimulating parts of some of the conversations you had. As Rory listens with interest, frequently interrupting you with questions, you regale Rory with description of your verbal fencing with the motorcyclist housekeeper secret agent Mrs. Regina Wilhelmina, the by-the-book detective Inspector Ambrose, the hapless figs, the irascible Colonel Farsnuff, and your southern trainee, young Valentina. Or Valentine. Young Valentine. I don't know why I suddenly pronounced it in what would seem to be a Russian pronunciation. Young Valentine. Calvin, if I were not convinced of your tremendous brain before, I am now. Your skill at rhetoric was very much good. There, you see, I can hope to reach your heights. Thank you, sir. Rory suddenly jumps up. Oh, Calvin, I've just remembered. What about the birthday gift for Aunt Primrose? Rory looks through the luggage in search of it. Ah, yes, the birthday gift, you say. You tense to reach into one of the bags and pull out the needlepoint. As you smooth it out, however, you noticed a significant problem. The needlepoint that you had thought in your rush to purchase something said, God bless this home, in fact reads, God bless this home. Oh, you say, examining the words again. Yes, it definitely says flesh. That doesn't look much like a peridot hairstick, says Rory. What have you got there? I'm afraid it's a needlepoint, you say. The peridot hairstick was unobtainable. A needlepoint? Let me see it. I honestly point out the flesh problem to Rory, or you show it to him quickly so that he doesn't notice, or I make a compelling case that flesh is an actual word and indeed is supposed to be there. Wow, okay. I don't know, we screwed up there, I think. I think we could maybe try to fix it later on, but we won't lie and we won't hide it for him. Let's just honestly point it out. I'm so sorry, sir. I hadn't realized it until this moment, but there is an orthographical error on the needlepoint. You point to the offending word. God fuss this home, Rory reads. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? I'm afraid so. Aunt Primrose will hardly be likely to display this above her hearth. No, sir. And yet, I suppose this is all I have. I do appreciate your honesty. I might not have noticed it on a quick glance, but I prefer to know. Now, what do you think? Should we give it to her or no? Yes, we should. Leave it to me. Or, I suspect not. Better to give nothing than a flawed gift. Or, let's see if I can turn that F into a B quickly and undetectably. Yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah, let's try to fix it. Do you really think you can? Asks Rory breathlessly. Perhaps. You smooth the needlepoint in front of you. What if I simply drew in the rest of the B with some paint? That might serve. Pray that it does, Rory says. How can I help? Rest yourself, sir. I'm trained for this sort of emergency. You fetch Rory's shoe polish kit and find some likely colors to blend to match the brown lettering on the needlepoint. Then, using his spare toothbrush, the polish, and some artistic talent, you work to transform flesh into brass. There, you say at last. Is it good? I can't tell, Rory says, because I know what you've done. I can't tell either, you admit. I don't know what someone would say who didn't know, but I think it will work. I trust you, Rory says, and we get an achievement. A blessing in disguise. Okay. You work to ensure that Rory looks acceptable, but Rory keeps pacing around. Nearly time, Calvin. Time to face the family and friends, and so forth. Must be at my best, you know. Of course, if you would kindly. A man must look his best. Rory gnaws at a fingernail and begins to muss his hair. For such an important occasion, where I would prefer to be is at home. I'm picturing a beverage with ice and some sort of action-adventure novel. Perhaps I'll do some jumping jacks to use up some excess nervous energy. Sir, I really must ask you to stand still at once if you would like to be properly dressed. Or, I wonder if you might make your movement somewhat less exuberant. Or, oh, go ahead and do your jumping jacks then. Now let's go with the option first. Sir, I must really ask you to stand still. Oh, I suppose you will have your way, won't you, Calvin? So be it. Do your worst upon my person. Rory looks annoyed, but stops moving around. At least you can complete dressing him more efficiently now. You put the finishing touches on Rory's outfit, making minute adjustments to ensure that he looks to his best advantage. The result, if you do say so yourself, is simply an improvement. Rory strikes various poses in front of the mirror, admiring himself in his dark green wool tweed hiking jacket with a houndstooth pattern. A crisp pair of cream-colored breeches and dark brown boots complete the outfit. The 3 buttons, of course, remain closed during the hunt, sir, you know. Naturally, Rory says, adjusting his tie and accepting his top hat from you. There we are, you say. Perfect. I say, Calvin, turn around. Let me look at you. Sir? You have a big handprint right in the middle of your back. Chalk, it looks like. Possibly pastels? You look over your shoulder in the mirror. He is right. You grit your teeth and remember Fix slapping you on the back with his filthy hands. Rory laughs. I suppose you must have looked pretty silly walking around with a handprint on your back all day. Oh well, a bit of humility is good for all of us, I suppose. You remove your jacket and begin cleaning it, shaking your head. But enough about your handprint problems, Calvin. Rory turns slowly in front of you. What do you think? How do I look? Perfectly adequate, sir. Or, Frankincense heart will skip a beat, no doubt. Or, to be perfectly honest, you look rather unwell. Let's go with Frankincense heart will skip a beat, no doubt. That is kind of you to say so, Rory says. I hope I don't look too good. There are only so many heartbeats that ought to stop all in a row. There are limits. I look forward to seeing the 2 of you together, you say. You will be a happy couple. Yes, Rory says, hesitating and lingering before leaving the room. It's just, He falls silent. Sir? Or just that you don't want to be married? Or just that you love her more than you can say? I don't think either one of those is good. I think that sir is the right one. Nothing, Rory says. Let's join the others. I'll tell you what. Can we observe Frankincense and me when we are together? Then offer your candid opinion about the two of us. Certainly, you say, and then, together, you leave the room and head down the stairs. Did this hurt our relation? No, it actually was the right option. Okay, 55, not bad. I'm sure you are right, Rory says as you walk, about the heart skipping a beat. You nod slightly. As always, you are my pillar and my rock. Of course, sir. And thus, engaged in serious conversation, you reach the first floor. The great front hall of Ritornello is busier than the great hall of Ritornello is busier than when you entered. Assorted servants are rushing about making preparations for the feast to come. Footmen bearing wicker cornucopias full of sunflowers, orange dahlias, and pied red and yellow daisies for centerpieces shimmer past, preparing the dinner table for the evening's repast. As you cross the hall, you see Regina Wilhelmina, now in her proper attire as a housekeeper, in simple white dress with keys at her waist. She catches your eyes and makes a subtle gesture with her head towards the billiard room behind her. Rory has become engaged in an animated conversation with Carlington, and probably wouldn't notice if you slipped away for a moment. You follow Regina into the billiard room, and she shuts the door. It's good to see you again, Dandelion, says Regina, with a slight upturning of the corners of her mouth. Not quite qualifying as a smile, but probably indicating some sort of friendly welcome. Wait, do we have her? Oh, we do now, Regina 40. Okay, so I missed that one before. Midnight Fawn, how do you do? I'm uneasy, if you wish to know the truth. A potentially dangerous situation has arisen, and I must say that I am thankful to have such a talented potential recruit as you are here to assist me. To assist Mrs. Patterson and the household at large. Tell me more. We don't have much time, so I will be efficient. Take a seat by the fire, and I will sit at the window seat, facing another direction. If either of us senses danger, work the phrase more io into the conversation. Do you understand? Wow, this is a bit bizarre. Let me just take a sip of my tea. Let's go. You have my full attention. There are 3 options. More io. I demand to know what this is all about, and I assume this is related to Valentine's testing of me for the inner circle. But I think Regina is the no-nonsense type, so we're just gonna go with you have my full attention. Okay, that did nothing. Good. I appreciate that you understand the gravity of this affair even before hearing about it. I suppose a high-speed motorcycle chase while being fired upon will tend to impress upon one the deadly seriousness of our job. It does do that, you agree. Excellent. You hear the yowling of the hounds outside, and on Primrose's booming voice crying out that all must assemble outside the front door at once on pain of her displeasure. Our time is limited, says Regina, but you should know that there is a serious problem brewing, and I will need your help. I have reason to believe there is an evildoer here at Ritornello who means to do Aunt Primrose some serious harm. It is not yet clear to me whether it is a foreign agent or some sort of maniacal saboteur. No. I'm afraid so, Dandelion. I would need you to join me on a subtle and time-sensitive mission. You may be able to assist me. How you do is up to you. You might find an excuse to leave the hunt and make your way back here so that you can thoroughly search the guest rooms to look for compromising information. Or, if you prefer, you could remain with the hunt and shrewdly interrogate the guests to discover if they have any malicious motives. What do you say? I say it would be best to go back and search the rooms, but I would bet my left testicle that this means we're gonna get caught by Colonel Firesnuff while we're doing that. 100%. I'm 100% sure, but let's do that. I don't think interrogating people is like a good idea, so I will make my way back here and search the rooms. Excellent, she says. Be on the lookout for hidden panels, incriminating documents, and disguise kits. Those are usually the signs of a villain. Then, after you have made your searches, we shall meet and compare conclusions. This is a promising start for you, Dandelion. She peeks out of the door to ensure that nobody is near. Wait 10 seconds before exiting, she says, and then she leaves. You count 10 and then follow, heading out the front door to join Rory and the others. Okay, we increased our relations, and there's a new person, Hayes, who just appeared. So I wonder who that is. All have assembled outside, and the white horses are being brought out and assigned to guests. Traditionally, there would be a master of the hunt, but Aunt Primrose, a very keen hunter since she was a young woman, has taken the responsibility upon herself. As a group of 6 servants in hunting outfits bring a pack of eager hounds out of the kennels, Aunt Primrose talks to each of the dogs, stroking them and inquiring whether or not they are ready to catch a fox. Colonel Firestuff talks to Mopsy, who is yawning without attempting to hide it, as he tells her about his adventures spelunking in Bechuanaland. Oh, I have no idea what that is. Rory is talking to Carrington, the butler, and that strange detective, Inspector Ambrose, who you met on your extraordinary journey here. Inspector Ambrose is wearing a trench coat with a police badge pinned to it. He listens closely to Rory, scribbling down information. Is he here? No. Okay. Wow, this is turning into a bizarre situation. We have the detective here? Why the hell is the detective here? Is he following us? Inspector Ambrose's eyes flick upward at your approach, and he frowns slightly, seeming to write at an even more furious pace in his notebook, blazoned with the word clues on the front. We will now have the customary glass of wine before setting out, Aunt Primrose says, fairly skipping with excitement. Everyone join me just over here by the fountain. We shall all drink to the success of the hunt and enjoy a slice of cake in honor of my birthday. The fountain is a patinated bronze sculpture of Sir Francis Drake holding a spyglass to his eye. The sculpture has been poorly cast, and the left side of Sir Francis' face aligns unevenly with the right side. Sparkling water flows out of the lopsided spyglass and into a basin held by the personification of fortitude and temperance. It often comes up in conversation between you and Rory when either of you wishes to reach for a reference point for something unbelievably ugly or in bad taste. You take a moment, as always, to marvel at just how hideous this fountain is. Are you Calvin? Comes a voice slightly behind you. You must be. You turn to see an attractive woman in her 20s with black hair dyed purple at the ends, or an attractive man in his 20s with black hair with streaks of dark purple. No, a woman. You have never seen anyone who looks like her, ever. Although she wears proper hunting togs, that seems to be her only nod to convention, as witnessed by her several ear piercings. I'm Hayes, says the woman, stepping closer to you. I was just chatting with Rory for a bit, and he mentioned that he had a valet named Calvin, and here you are. Yes, you say. Pleased to meet you, miss. Just Hayes is fine, she says. Do you like hunting? Not particularly. I adore it. I like your hair. Okay, let's go with not particularly. I, by contrast, adore hunting. Oh, god damn it. I was hoping that was the right choice. Okay, that didn't hit us. So, you are here merely out of duty then, aiding your employer? Will you be terribly bored the whole time? What do you like to do when you are bored? She offers you an ironic smile and looks at you with slightly tilted head. I'm afraid I must see to Mr. Wintermint now. Good day. Or perhaps I like to talk to an attractive woman like you. Or it's not a question of boredom. Hunting is merely not among my favorite activities. Can we flirt with her? I think that's a horrible option. Well, let's try it. Perhaps you do, says Hayes, stepping closer. This is very sudden, you know. We've just met, and we are in public. Wow, it worked. Oh, but Mopsy is at 0 now? What the hell? Yes? Mary pointing it out. It's interesting and unusual, but I knew you liked me the moment you saw me. I have a very keen instincts. Hayes laughs. She really does have a very attractive, silvery laugh. You aren't sure exactly what makes a laugh silvery, but this one would certainly qualify. I don't believe I've ever seen you around here. No, you wouldn't have. She smiles at you benignly. But luckily enough, you have seen me now. You are shockingly forward, you know. She playfully bats at your arm. Is that wrong? It's not wrong, and it's not right, and it's not wrong. It just is. Now we're done with this portion of the conversation. You catch Mopsy's eyes, and she makes a retching expression to suggest that she does not like Hayes very much at all, and that she is bewildered by your willingness to talk to her. Did that really kill our relation with her completely? Okay. Everyone is assembled near the fountain, ringed with honeysuckle shrubs. Next to the fountain is a feature you have never seen here before, a great pen made of gold-covered wire mesh standing about 10 feet high, holds 3 full-grown peafowls. A peacock struts about, train feathers fully extended in a riot of iridescent green and blue. A peafowl and a peahen nearby ignore the display entirely and groom their feathers in a non-committal manner. My pride and joy, says Aunt Primrose, looking at her birds indulgently. Sachi's son, Galatea, and Orlando are my entrance into the exotic animal show at the Harvest Festival, as you may know. They will do me proud. I have been raising them for months and months on a very special diet. They are certain to receive the blue ribbon. She bares her teeth at Colonel Firesnuff. Stuff and nonsense, Primrose, he says. You will have to resign yourself to the red or yellow ribbon. Again, I have a very special entry that puts yours to shame. A laughable proposition, Aunt Primrose says. You will eat those words, and, I don't mind saying, your team will also lose the boat race. You had best get used to losing. Colonel Farsnuff laughs and laughs. Oh, Primrose, you are a card. Aunt Primrose perches on a camp stool near the peafowl pen, accepting birthday wishes and small gifts from her guests, with the air of a magnanimous empress receiving homage from visiting dignitaries. The cake on a wheeled cart is Aunt Primrose's favorite, Battenberg cake. I wonder if that's a real thing. Footmen slice and distribute the checkerboard yellow and pink sponge cake, slathered in apricot jam, wrapped in marzipan, and decorated with autumn leaves made of spun sugar. Very nice, she says, as one of her neighbors give her a set of 3 lavender candles wrapped in ribbon. Very thoughtful indeed, she says. Good to have one's birthday appreciated. Makes one feel valued. She looks to Mopsy. Mopsy looks cross and approaches Aunt Primrose. If I were not imprisoned on the estate, I could have given you a better present, she protests loudly, hitting such a pitch on the word imprisoned that some of the hounds perk up. I have made homemade stationery for you, pressed with wildflowers. Ah, says Aunt Primrose, you know perfectly well why I keep you here, so that you do not mix with that fix person, as you call him. You may use that stationery to write me an apology note when you later realize you have done me wrong, Mopsy says, and steps away from Aunt Primrose. You can see that Rory is slowly nodding in solidarity with his cousin. I wink at Mopsy to let her know that I, too, approve of her rebellious nature. I give Mopsy an admonishing look, or I raise an eyebrow to suggest to Rory that he ought to make less of a show of support for Mopsy in public. Let's wink at Mopsy to let her know. Mopsy Curry appreciates your show of support. However, Aunt Primrose narrows her eyes at you and Rory. Luckily, Colonel Firesnuff steps forth before any words can be exchanged. We're back to 100. Okay. Oh yeah, we lost a lot of points with on Primrose. Damn. Primrose, says Colonel Firesnuff. I'm a man of few words, as everyone knows, and I'm not much full sentiment and all that rot. When you've charged across a field of hedgerows under heavy mortar fire at dawn, one doesn't think too much of birthdays. He pauses to eat a bite of cake, and yet, as I think people generally know, I am not to be outdone when it comes to giving gifts, and so I have brought you this small token of my esteem, and I hope that it will soften the blow when my entries crush your entries at the Harvest Festival. Ha! Booms on Primrose. Let's see the gift. I have here a fine lace dolly, Farsnuff says, displaying it. It will serve to place things on top of. I believe that is what one does with a dolly. To be quite honest, I don't quite know, but it is quite dainty. Yes, very nice, Farsnuff, she says. A dolly, you say? Well, it's a nice thought, such as it is. I had intended to purchase something else, something more befitting the occasion, but there were obstacles. Here he fixes you with a challenging look. Suffice to say, the fault was not mine. Thank you, Colonel, she says. It is now time for Rory to give his gift to Aunt Primrose, but he doesn't step forward. Go on, sir, you say. You present it, Calvin, whispers Rory. I'm too nervous. All right, sir, if that is what you want. You take the repaired needlepoint and briefly hold it up before the assembled guests. A needlepoint, is it? Aunt Primrose asks. Let's see. Should you try to keep Aunt Primrose from closer examining the needlepoint using sleight of hand, distract her with some sort of diversion, or should you try to present it as one-of-a-kind artisanal needlepoint with an attractive rustic flaw? I use a bit of sleight of hand to keep the lettering just out of sight, or I point out the interesting artistic flaw in the needlepoint, or I distract Aunt Primrose by calling attention to a neighbor of hers who has not given her a gift yet. Well, okay, which option? I mean, our intellect is pretty high. Persuasion is not that high. Well, sleight of hand or pointing out the interesting artistic flaw in the needlepoint. I think we repaired it, so let's use the first one. You try to keep the front of the needlepoint out of Aunt Primrose's sight, but she notices your reluctance to show it to her. Oh, god damn it. What are you doing, you silly man, she snaps. Don't you know how to show someone a needlepoint? It's not especially complicated. Show it to me. I'd like you to admire the back, first of all. It's very charming. Show me the front. The back is a marvel of artistry. It's a special sort of art, isn't it? What fine work is it? Hand it to me this instant. I can see that you are hiding something. Abashed, you hand the needlepoint to Aunt Primrose. She looks at it, snorts, and turns it to everyone so that everyone can see it. Well, this is a very nice bit of needlepoint, but whatever have you done here? There appears to be a smudge on it. Is it dirty? That would be just like you, Rory, to give me something dirty. She picks at the repaired letter and gasps when she discovers that it is merely an attempt to cover up misspelling. What sort of nonsense is this, Rory, she says. This is like when you broke my favorite bud vase and tried to fix it using craft paste. The attempt at concealment wounds me most of all, because it means you think I'm rather stupid. No, not at all, says Rory. It was a ghastly mistake, that is all. Huh, I'm peeved, Rory. Peeved indeed. And you, Calvin, you should have known better as well. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, well, it blew up. She then gives Rory a stern dressing down while Rory looks at you in sorrow. As Aunt Primrose mingles with her guests, Colonel Farsnuff accosts you and Rory, hands behind his back, leaning slightly forward as if keenly anticipating this conversation. Well, he says, sniffing. It seems that I am the superior gift-giver. I think that is beyond argument. I suppose so, Rory says, surprised. I was not aware that we were competing in that manner, but congratulations. You have to get up pretty early in the morning to outgift a Farsnuff. That's my motto, he says, thumping his chest. That's a very specific motto, Rory says. And as for you, Calvin, don't feel too bad. Far snuff never loses. That's my other motto. I have two. Okay, that really hurt us, didn't it? Yeah, we're down to 33. 51 with Rory. And with those parting words, Colonel Firesnuff snaps to attention and joins on Primrose. They and the other guests mount their horses, and you aid Rory to mount his horse as well. The Master of Hound is heading into the woods, and the hunters are just about to set off behind him. An air of excitement fills the hunting party, and on Primrose shouts with glee. Yoicks and tally-ho! Let's go! She kicks her heels and leads the party off to the sound of horns and hounds. They do not wait, alas, for Rory, whose horse is slowly turning in a complete circle. Just a moment he goes, Forward, Cinnamon Bun! Yeah! You are working with Rory to explain the proper order of things to Cinnamon Bun when a familiar voice calls out, Rory! And Calvin, I'm so sorry I'm late. And riding up, looking magnificent and elegant as ever, is Rory's bride-to-be, Frankincense Signet. Okay, well that concludes Chapter 3. Thank you very much for joining me. We're not doing great, I have to admit, but we'll power through. As far as stats go, I think we did well. Our intellect is really high. We're fairly bold and observe. Persuasion, I think we gained 1% for that blunder, but we're doing good with Regina, we're doing good with Rory. Frankincense will have to improve. On Primrose, not great. Colonel Farsnuff, not great. But Haze and Mopsy are fine, so we will be doing good. Anyway, I'll see you in the next episode with Chapter 4.